Hi, fans of the trumpet. Thanks for joining me again today. Again, I'm a little pressed for time, and I've been trying to set aside a few moments to do these videos so you can have something to work on in your practice. What I'm going to give you today is an extension of what we worked on before with the breathing coordination and support. As I've said many times, I can try and explain something, but unless you experience it for yourself and it's clear in your mind how things are working, what's happening, what the results are, it's going to be very difficult for you to get anything valuable from an explanation. So when I explain, I strongly recommend that you do, go and practice these things and see what you can accomplish. And it's the repetition with observation, intense awareness that really can teach you a tremendous amount. It's not whether things are working well or not. It's not whether you're getting the results you want or not. It's, am I learning anything? That's kind of where you should be. So today what we're going to do, talked about support last time. Again, I set up in the vertical format. We're talking about moving the air out with support. So how do you get that? Well, there are many, many things you can do. And you can look online. You've probably found some very useful things. One teacher is talking about using like a cocktail straw or a juice box straw, something like that, as a resistance device. That's all great. But hopefully you have your trumpet handy. And what I usually do when I'm warming up is I start just by moving air through the horn. But I'll show you how to do that in such a way that it's constructive, I hope, for you. And you can make up your own exercises, your own patterns, your own repetitions, write stuff down, come up with, it's kind of like you're trying to be your own personal trainer. That's really, really important. Every successful player learns how to do that. And it is a learning process. So, many times when I'm practicing, warming up, haven't done anything yet on the horn, I might work a little bit with the breathing tube at first. So I'm taking a very large breath, letting it go. I'm just pumping air, so to speak. But I'm not trying to do so, I'm not trying too hard. I'm trying to let it happen. So I'm allowing the air to pour in, almost like someone else were pouring it into my lungs. I'm allowing the air to pour out. And when it's gone, I want to feel like my body, my chest, is still open and there's no tension in my vocal cords. So I've been talking now on the end of my air. Now you don't want to play the trumpet like that, but you do want to be able to play the trumpet like that. That's the key. So with the breathing tube, it's very easy to change the resistance. You don't have to buy an expensive device. You can change the resistance. Now, can you control the settings? No, but you can control the feel. So the feel here is, now I have a lot of resistance, it's not flowing. Now there's no resistance, I haven't created any extra. You can do this by just putting your finger over the end of the tube or using the other hand to hold the tube, whatever. So how do you use this? Pump the air, get into a groove, get into a repetitive pattern. So what I'm doing is I'm concentrating on time. You can see I'm gesturing. I always use time. Sometimes the time is suspended, as in a fermata, delayed, but it's always ready to move ahead. So sometimes I'm using a steady beat, as with a metronome, other times not. But most of the time, I always know exactly when I want to start to allow the air to move. So here we go. So all I did was flow air through the horn. Now, the horn doesn't offer you much resistance. What it does offer is sound. You can hear something. So that's sound is a great way for a musician to get feedback, right? So now I'm going to change the sound just by moving the valve. And as you do that, especially if you do it very slowly, you're going to feel the resistance change. Now, even with the valves at half valve, even if I put all the valves down halfway, I still might get the sensation that there's so little resistance that I actually end up holding the air back. And that's the number one thing you want to train yourself not to do. We want breath control, but we don't want to get control by holding back the flow. We always want to be releasing the flow. Some people talk about breathing as if it were just as easy as, which is exactly right. Your body already knows how to do that. You take a breath. So you've been breathing since you were born. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking. We've all been breathing since we were born. And we need to tap into what your body already knows how to do really, really well, and then extend that into what we need to do to play the trumpet. So when I'm doing this, I do all kinds of things, and I do them fairly rapidly, but the thing that I'm playing around with is resistance and how my body is reacting to the resistance. So one thing I'll do is and clean your horn before you do this. You want to make sure there's no dirty stuff around the end of the receiver here. Just put your lips around the receiver so you're not blocking. You're not trying to form an embouchure as if to play the lead pipe. I don't recommend that, well, at least not now, because we're working on something else. And please don't breathe in through the instrument. Even if it's clean, it's not a good idea. Always only out through the instrument. So I feel like the air is falling. You want to get used to that. That's a good sensation, a falling sensation. Well, how can you moderate it? You can get your tongue in the way. And all I do is I'll let the air fall all the way to the end, just to get used to going all the way to the end with a constant, steady stream that sounds exactly the same. Same blow energy. You want to get so you can move the air very, very quickly and change the direction of the air very, very quickly. So that's a pretty, that can be a pretty intense exercise, and that's good. That means you can feel it easily. If you start to sweat a little bit, that's not bad, but remember, don't try hard. Stay loose in the exchange. Now, in order to find out whether I'm actually dealing with the resistance correctly, what I do is I'll stop the air with my tongue. So, now what I did is really, really important, and this is something you need to try and feel for yourself. When I stopped the air with my tongue, I could feel, because of my experience with this, that I was I'm pushing against the air. I don't want to be pushing against the resistance. I want to meet the resistance. I want to balance the resistance, but I don't want to be striving against it. That's extremely important for playing the trumpet. So what I did when I stopped it with my tongue, I maintained exactly the same pressure without squeezing or pushing the air. I'm still trying to sit on the air. I'm still trying to sigh the air. I'm still trying to let go of the air. And that's the thing you're trying to cultivate. So when we play with different resistance, that's the key coordination you're trying to get. Am I pushing and pulling the air back and forth like this in a rigid manner, or is it fluid, soft, comfortable, easy? Say relaxed. It's not exactly relaxed. It's smooth and it's quick. Quicker motions require smooth suppleness in the system, and that's what you need to breathe. So if you find that you're having trouble taking a quick breath, it's probably because the muscles of your breathing system are locked up and you're creating resistance in other places, as I talked about in the video about the brakes on the breath. So if I'm having trouble, I'll just rest the air. I'm stopping it with my tongue. I put my tongue right here. And then I let go of any unnecessary tension. And the feeling is like, if I take the horn away, the air is just going to fall. Now, I told one of my students this. I said, it's kind of like, you've been to the Grand Canyon, right? Yeah, we just visited this summer. Great, okay. So you're at the edge of the canyon. And let's say you're leaning up against the fence and you're taking a picture and all of a sudden the fence disappeared. And he goes like, ooh, well yeah, that is pretty scary. And it's scary for our breathing system too. Because that feeling of falling is something that our body doesn't like all that much. We want to be in control. And yet the feeling of falling, letting the air fall, whether it's fast, as in throwing the air, or gentle, as in using the bow very slowly, it's exactly the same movement. And this is the thing you're trying to cultivate. So, see, I said a lot of words. I hope some of them are helpful, but what you really need to do is all I did was I changed how much I was leaning on my tongue with the air, how much I was leaning against the resistance that I had created. And that's a sensation you want to be aware of. Now let's take that to the trumpet. So now I get the mouthpiece and put it in. Now as my lips come closer together, I've created resistance. And so when you have this, there's very, very little resistance. But just reduce the size of the tube. Get a hold of a small straw. There was once a kit, it may still be available. I can't even remember what it's called now. The idea was to strengthen your squeezing muscles around a little stainless steel rod. And those are muscles that you use when you're playing the trumpet, but actually you don't want to be squeezing the airstream. The airstream is kind of like that straw. Or if you're using a pencil, this is a fancy pencil. See, I'm letting the air flow down the side, alongside this, the rod that's attached to the pinwheel. I brought this out because it's very cheerful. But actually, it's a great device for practicing low pressure, high flow breathing. You purse your lips as if you're going to blow out a candle. Get yourself a pinwheel. They can be found. And you notice what I did was I kept it spinning at the same speed. That means I need to take I need to learn how to take a very easy, quick, smooth, controlled breath. So it's accurate, it's precise, but it's smooth. This is what you're trying to get. At first, just get loose and smooth. That's a great place to start. Okay, now I go to the trumpet, and my lips are in the way, and they're pursed as if I were blowing out a candle. So you hear that there's a lot of air splashing into the cup. Notice how I'm not making much noise with my lips. A lot of people blow like this. That means you're squeezing the air. We'll get into this when we talk about what I call the nozzle, or the reed, the vibrating mechanism. So now I have a concentrated, smooth, gentle, strong airstream. You see how difficult this is to describe? But that's it. It's not something forced. It's so that produces a lot of flow, which slaps back out of the mouthpiece when you blow on it. I use this for articulation. When we talk about that, it's a great way to practice articulation because you can hear what the air is doing. Now let's go back to our resistance puzzle. If you want to take the mouthpiece and blow on it, I'm going like this. And I've done 2 videos so far on what I call the mouthpiece blowing exercise. Okay? So I'm flowing a lot of air, and the mouthpiece, obviously, with a small throat, is not going to allow all that air to flow. So the stronger I blow, the more I flow the air. You can see the air pressure expanding my neck. Of course, you want the air pressure to stay right here, right at the aperture and right past the aperture, because that's what gives you power to play in the upper register and to play at loud dynamic levels. You have to have the high flow and high pressure in the upper register. So what can you do with the mouthpiece? You can do the same thing when you're buzzing. So if you buzz, now I made a very, very quick correction. If you can't tell the difference between squeezing the air, driving the air, pushing the air, and flowing the air, releasing the air, if you can't tell the difference between those two different ways of doing it, you know, or release, then you got some work to do. And the work is in observing your own body. So what I do is that you can do this, you know, hold it in the James Stant method, and then you can use your finger to just cover the end of the mouthpiece. Now I could feel immediately when I covered the mouthpiece, I was holding unnecessary tension in my shoulders, and as soon as I release that, now the air starts moving again. How do I know? When I take my finger off the mouthpiece, the air flows and I get a buzz. We'll get into this in greater detail when we talk about buzzing, because there's a lot of things you can do to wake up your body. And that's the main theme through all these videos about exercises and anatomy and trumpet skills. You're doing something physical, and what results is hopefully a beautiful musical effect of some kind. And unless you're connecting those two, you're not going to have as much fun playing as you could be having. So go practice. As I said, my student's coming. He's not here yet, thankfully. And I'll see you later on. And I hope you have some good luck trying some of these techniques. There are many, many more, and we'll get into them later on. Thanks for visiting with me, and have a good day. I'll see you later on down the road. Bye-bye.